Welcome to the webinar, everyone. We're delighted that you've been able to join us this afternoon. We're holding just here to the top of the hour, and I'd like to begin with a brief welcome video from our new head of school, Mr. Jeff Mancabelli.
Good morning and welcome to Collegiate School. Thank you very much for joining us for this admissions virtual program. My name is Jeff Mancabelli and I'm the head of school. Throughout the course of this program, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from different members of the leadership team and some of our collegiate students. Our hope for you today is to walk away with a deeper understanding of what it means to be a part of the collegiate community and get an inside look in our JK-12 academic environment. As someone new to the school, I would love to share with you some of my first impressions since starting my work on July 1st. The first thing that struck me about the collegiate community was the love of learning and the joy that you find at every level. Whether it's from the first ring of the bell in lower school, to the middle school experiences, to the upper school engaging in leadership opportunities and modeling what we would expect our students to model for the younger students in our school, the collegiate community is quite remarkable. The other thing that you'll learn, particularly today from the different members of the leadership team, is our JK-12 academic curriculum. Collegiate has a challenging curriculum, but it provides a supportive environment where you have teachers who take a personal interest in each student in their classroom. One of the things that you will see and start to hear from members of our community is how each student is noticed, named, and known at Collegiate. What this allows us to do is to tap into the passions in each of our students and really encourage them to reach outside of their comfort zones and really think about what is possible for them. And again, whether that's lower school, middle, or upper school. This is one of many events that you'll have to learn more about Collegiate. This is one of our virtual events, but there will also be in-person opportunities throughout the course of the admissions process. You'll hear more about that from our Director of Admissions and admissions staff. So I thank you for tuning in today to this program and wish you all the best as you begin to explore the collegiate experience. Thank you and have a great day.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Dave Tybel. I'm the Director of Admission and Enrollment Management here at Collegiate School. We're delighted to have so many people on the webinar with us today. And as Mr. Mancabelli pointed out, we endeavor to really give you a good sense of our JK-12 community, as well as a better understanding of the admission process during the course of our webinar. While today's time is rather short and sweet, we thought we'd start with the dessert first, and want to welcome two of our stellar seniors, members of the class of 2025, to join us and share a little bit of their perspective with us about collegiate school and their overall experience. Annika and James, would you like to join us? Welcome. I'll pitch it to you, Annika, and I'll let you start. And then I know, James, you've got some perspectives to share as well. Thank you both for being with us today.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Mr. Tybel. Hi, everyone. My name is Annika Sethi, and I am currently a senior here at Collegiate. I began my collegiate journey in 9th grade, and although I've only been here for 4 years, I couldn't imagine my high school experience anywhere else. From oddball or upper school dance, which was yesterday, to Donut Delight, where we get donuts and hot chocolate in the morning, I'm always excited to be part of the collegiate community and all the special events. This year, I am president of a few clubs: Oak Grove Bellmead, Model UN, and our personal finance club, to name a few. Oak Grove Bellmead is a service club that visits Oak Grove Elementary School every Saturday from 10 to 12:30 and tutors kids in English and math. We also do fun activities together like soccer and arts and crafts. There are so many amazing ways to be involved not only in the collegiate community, but the Richmond community, which is important to be a globally minded citizen. I have loved being part of this community that continuously supports me in all my endeavors, whether through sports or academically. In 10th grade, I was able to travel to Venice, Italy for a Model UN conference, which was an amazing experience and something that is so unique to Collegiate. We have an amazing partnership with schools globally, which makes for a unique experience to learn more about the world which we live in. One of the best parts is obviously the people that make Collegiate so special. All my teachers and other faculty members have helped me reach my goals and are always there for me for extra help. I know that I used to worry that I was bothering my teachers, but I was able to form meaningful connections with them through extra help and other times. I've been able to take courses that interest me, such as honors math modeling and financial analysis and AP government. This support from teachers is unparalleled to push me to success. Miss Rogers, who taught me statistics in ninth grade, made me fall in love with statistics and want to continue to explore it in college. Collegiate is such a wonderful community to be a part of, and I am glad I chose to be a part of it. So thank you all for listening to my collegiate journey, and now I'm passing it off to James Galgano.
All right, thank you, Annika. Hello, my name is James Galgano. Like Annika, I'm also a senior here. I came to Collegiate, like Annika, in ninth grade from a small Episcopalian middle school, and before that, I was at a larger public elementary school called Mary Milford Elementary. And with such a broad range of schools, I can confidently say that Collegiate isn't like any other. And what I really think sets this school apart from all my other past experiences is the incredible community. So recently we had an upper school event where our student council hosted a spike ball tournament and a field day. So I'm a grade representative for SEA, which is our student committee, which designs and organizes dances, fundraisers, and events like this. And what motivates me to put all of my effort into this role is the results we see in events like these. Teams came to compete in the tournament dressed in wild costumes, from Ninja Turtles to chefs. Teachers and administrators volunteered to sit in the dunk tank. And at every game, you would see students from all different grade levels playing together, and sometimes even inviting in a teacher to play with them too. And with such a close-knit school and excellent staff, the student-teacher bond is also something that sets Collegiate apart. Teachers have your back in every way, whether that be opening their schedule to allow for extra help time, sponsoring your clubs, or just coming to watch your sports matches whenever they can. So I'm a founding member of our speech and debate team here at Collegiate, which never would have started without the support of our incredible faculty sponsors, Ms. Costello and Madam Mon. Even though I never had them as teachers, I still got to become so close with them just through this experience. And they put their heart and soul into building up the team, preparing us for competitions, all the while extending their workdays simply for our benefit. They aren't doing it for any sort of personal incentive. They're just super passionate about making students the best versions of themselves, whether that be public speaking or thinking critically. And that's also a big point that I want to make about the collegiate experience, is how much you will change and grow as a student, a friend, and just a world citizen as a whole. One of the biggest reasons why I'm so passionate about this school is because I see how much I've been able to develop, and that's all a result of the incredible opportunities I've been given by the school. I still remember freshman year, every student has to make a 4-year planning grid for the courses that you're going to take throughout your high school experience. And it's funny to see just how wrong I was when I was making that. I'm taking classes now that I never would have thought I would have an interest in, or never would have thought I would reach the level to take. And the structure of our schedule allows us to explore every possible interest, whether that be through taking an elective class or just joining a club with your extra time, like science research or Model UN. And ultimately, the core value that I think links all students together is our pursuit of excellence. And it comes in so many different forms, whether you have someone working to commit to a college for sports or seeking out any and all opportunities in their prospective career field. You'll never see a student who isn't striving to become the best version of themselves. So Collegiate is just overall a place to find your individual success with all the support and resources you need to get there. And I really think that here you can find your path towards making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Annika. You both bring such a wonderful perspective to all of the things that our students are engaged in from junior kindergarten through 12th grade at our school, and appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedules on a Sunday afternoon to join us. So thank you for sharing those perspectives. As Mr. Mancabelli had pointed out in the intro, we also wanted to provide you as attendees an opportunity to hear from a panel of our leadership team. At this point, I'll invite my colleagues to join us. Tung Trin is our Dean of Faculty, and he joins us along with Debbie Miller, our head of the lower school, Jeff Dunnington, our head of the middle school, and Patrick Loach, our head of the upper school. Each of my colleagues are going to share a little bit about their perspectives in their various areas of expertise, working in lower, middle, and upper. But we'll start with Tung sharing some perspectives on our JK-12 community as our Dean of Faculty. Tung, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you, Dave, and more importantly, thank you to all of you that are on the webinar today, taking a slice of your Sunday to be with us to learn about our wonderful school. I think James and Annika both did a pretty great job about kind of giving the heartbeat of the school, which is the people. If you take a look through our catalog, you'll see that we have endless curricular programmings, endless co-curricular programs. And so whether you're joining us in the lower school, middle school, or upper school, and you're looking at either of any of those divisions, and looking at specific things that you'd want to see, it really, really is pretty incredible how much we have in terms of a breadth of offerings. And so things that you'd expect and you'd want to see as a parent or as a student in our math, English, science, history, language, art classes, in addition to the electives that you'd be able to choose in middle and upper school, to all the co-curricular activities between arts, athletics, outdoor collegiate, robotics, and all these things that kids kind of begin to find their passion for. They start at an early age. And so you'll see our JKers and our kindergartners all beginning to take classes and experiences in the same types of things that our upper schoolers do. Obviously, the level of sophistication increases and improves over time. But what I love is that spark of curiosity is there for a lot of our kids from a very early age. And really the part that makes all of it work is our wonderful faculty. So I feel fortunate that in my job as Dean of Faculty, I get to work with all the folks on the curricular side, but more importantly, all the people that make it happen. And so one of the things that I've grown to really love over my time at Collegiate is seeing students really form a curiosity and passion for something that perhaps they either knew they were going to and just needed the right environment to do it, or perhaps by taking a class that, as James said, didn't expect to take and found a pretty great level of enthusiasm for. And so one thing that I hope is that each of you will get a chance to visit campus. There's no substitute for that. Again, the website, the catalog will give you a pretty nice long list of wonderful programs. But on this journey that you have as parents to figure out if Collegiate is in fact the right school for you, your child, and your family, I think a school visit will really give you kind of that palpable sense of community. It's something that we talk a lot about. We ensure that obviously all of our programs push our kids and challenge our kids as much as possible, that all of our programs are aligned to our mission and our values. But really, when it comes down to it, the people at Collegiate make it all worthwhile. So every single day, we have endless interactions between students and faculty, and that's really what drives that community that we talk about. It's the ability to make everyone feel like they belong here, that they feel safe here. And when you feel like you belong and you feel safe at a school, you start to take some of those really great academic risks that perhaps your friends or your teachers encourage you to take, which can be as simple as raising your hand to answer a question in class, or maybe more importantly, taking that art class that perhaps you were thinking about, or trying out for the soccer team when maybe it's something new and different for you in middle school. But either way, all those really important learning moments really come to fruition because our students trust their peers, and they also trust the teachers that are there. And so again, I think you'd get a great sense of that feeling if you visit campus. But really, we're really proud of everything that we do at Collegiate, and we are excited for you to learn a little bit more about it. And so I'm going to pass it off to Debbie Miller, the head of our lower school, to talk a little bit about where the journey begins.
Thank you, Tom. I'm sorry. Can you see me all? Okay. Well, thank you, Tom. And I would like to add my welcome to everyone as well. And thank you for joining our webinar today. We are so excited that you're interested in our school. And Collegiate is a place where, from JK through 4th grade, that our students, you'll find to be kind, you'll find them to be curious, you'll find them to be joyful, and you'll find them to be respectful learners. That's wonderful to know that, and hopefully you will get that and feel it as well. If you were to walk into our buildings, you will most likely find a student that will probably hold the door for you or ask you how your day is going. Some of our students surprise me daily with the sweet little conversations that we'll have. Each day during lunch when I walk into the cafeteria, you'll hear waves, you'll hear hellos, you'll have a math question maybe they'll ask you about. They'll want to talk about something at home. It's just a lovely way to connect with everyone. And Collegiate then is a place where the classroom teachers also have the expertise that they can know each student well. They work hard to form relationships with the students and the trust that they need there. They support them from an emotional and as well as an academic side, and they also work hard to know the families. Our classroom teachers also have the expertise to meet our students where they are academically. They provide for the needs of the top students as well as the needs for those that might need a little more support. They have the expertise to take a student from where they are and grow them forward in exciting ways. We also like to think about Collegiate being a place where we value the importance of an early years strong foundation. It really does build the foundation for life. Our JK through the fourth grade years are a time of unparalleled growth and development. You can see this growth at our lower school gatherings. We have our whole school come together and some of our lower school gatherings, and the JK and kindergartners sit in the front, and the fourth graders are in the back if they're not leading that particular gathering. And you can see the physical growth and development by just letting your eyes span across the view of all of our students, but you can also see it in the way that they interact with one another and certainly through their day-to-day endeavors with each other. So during this time of the JK through the fourth grade years, many, many lifelong habits are formed, attitudes are formed, and they establish practices that are going to lead them on to other opportunities, like leadership opportunities. Our fourth graders love and dearly look forward to becoming a campus cub in the fourth grade. And a campus cub, that's like a safety patrol, if you will. They wear a belt every morning. They're out for carpool. They help the children. They open the car doors, help the children out with their things, help a child carry something in if they need to. They also come in the afternoon. They will open the car door to help the children get in. They give the morning time, they'll say, have a great day. In the afternoon, they'll say, I hope you've had a great day. And we get many, many compliments from our families and the parents that love to have that interaction with our students. So with the nurturing environment that we have and supporting our students with a strong foundation of the basic skills, you'll find our teachers that love to celebrate learning. I was in a class the other day and one teacher said, off you go, readers and writers, and the children just picked up and went over and got busy. We have science and engineering classes where Mr. Becker, Ms. Smythe, and Ms. Moyer have lessons and design challenges that bring the love and joy that they have to our students. This is one of our many resource classes. World language, we have French, Spanish, and Chinese. Science and engineering classes, we have music, we have library, art, PE, technology, and we even have math labs scheduled into the time as well. Our math lab we have 2 math specialists, 2 reading specialists, and a learning specialist that work under our academic services umbrella, along with our counselors, and they provide support to students, families, teachers, monitors progress, and they provide many, many enrichment opportunities as well. Our lower school counselors are amazing in the way that they support students' needs through the morning meetings, regular guidance lessons that they set up with their teachers, small group opportunities, individual meetings as needed, and even special lunch bunches that they might pull together for them. They are an amazing resource for our parent community as well. And Collegiate, the lower school, is a place where we take time to instill a lifetime of the love of learning and the tenets of leadership, citizenship, and compassion. And we focus on our mission and values through all of our activities in the lower school. Time spent there is like a bridge for the children as they move from a sensory, self-focused world to where they are excited about new opportunities and learning how to interact with others. And that can be seen on our playgrounds. We have a new JK playground this year. I hope you will come, like Tung said, to our campus to see. But our new lower school has our JK playground, and I was out the other day. The children were just all over that playground having the best time. Then I went to Fort Cougar, which is for like our kindergarten, first and second grade classes, and they were having fun, but then they also expand out to the fields to play more games. And then our third and fourth graders have Cougar Mountain Playground, where they also have fields that they play on. They have foursquare, they have basketball, but you see the growth that can develop over those years. So during this time in their young lives, our students develop their language, they develop their thinking, they develop their reasoning skills, And most effectively through play and exploration, they learn how to build and keep and encourage relationships with each other. And every day and in every classroom, our students are challenged to think, they're challenged to share, explain, and inquire. We want them to be inquisitive. And our teachers engage the students in many multiple ways: hands-on explorations, inquiry, self-reflection, integrated learning, and all kinds of ways. We have morning activities before school even starts, where the children can't wait to get to school so they can finish an art project, or they can go to the library and get that particular book that they want. So I hope you can see that at Collegiate, we focus on making it a safe and secure environment in which to learn, to provide developmentally appropriate teaching, to increase the independence of our students, and to work and grow together responsibly. And finally, please know all of us in the lower school are eager to get to know you and your student, your child, and we would love the opportunity to reach out to you. So please feel free to talk with me at any time. My door is always open. And additionally, Mr. Mel Dandridge, our lower school director of admissions, and her team, they are always happy to help you as well, along with Dave Tybel, who's on this webinar with us today. Again, thank you so much for your interest in Collegiate, and it's now my pleasure to turn things over to Mr. Jeff Dunnington, the head of Collegiate's middle school.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate it. So I too would love to extend a special welcome to you all. So our middle school begins, actually, we run grades 5 through 8, which sets us apart from a number of other middle schools. And part of that is we're excited to bring fifth graders into the mix to really provide, it provides a different structure than I think what they're seeing in an elementary school setting. Fifth grade's a great transition for us from lower, because they're able, they're using lockers, they're able to change classes like the rest of the middle school, but simultaneously they're with an advisor and an advisory group for roughly half of the day. So they kind of have that stability still there as well. When I'm thinking about our top goals within the middle school, really it's to create a well-rounded student who's simultaneously prepared for the academic rigors of our upper school, while also growing as responsible citizens in a world that, as a result of their middle school age, I think the world really opens up to them at this time. They start questioning a lot of things and kind of wondering what's going on. They're putting a whole lot together. So I kind of, for those reasons, a major theme throughout our middle school years is agency, where we're really trying to have our students take ownership of their studies in an age appropriate manner, of course. When I say the word agency, obviously our fifth graders are going to need significantly more support and scaffolding than an eighth grader. But, kind of over that time throughout the middle school, we're really trying to put more and more of the onus of our students' learning on the students' shoulders. So they're really working in partnership with their teachers to really, be in a good footing as they head into ninth grade. It's also really allows a great space in our middle school for our students to take risks. They're able to take risks in a safe space. Really allows them to stretch themselves. So in our middle school here at Collegiate, we do operate under a coordinate system, which means that our students are separated by gender for many of their classes. We see this, at an age of rapid change. The gender split allows teachers to focus intensively on the developmental and academic needs of each student. So in fifth grade, our students' classes are they're all separate. But as they get older, they start having some classes with the opposite gender as they're getting older. So on the whole, in the middle school, about 70% of our classes are single gender. Despite them being separate in class, they're still sharing halls together. They're sharing study halls together. They're sharing a cafeteria, recess. We still have recess in the middle school, which we think is really an important part of the day as well. So for our core classes in the middle school, we have math, science, history, English and language arts, and world language. For world language, our students do have the option, like in the lower school, of Spanish, French, and Chinese. Once they get into seventh grade, almost all of our students will be introduced to Latin, and a number will choose to continue Latin into the eighth grade. In terms of our fine arts, we have rotations in fifth through seventh grade. So in fifth grade, all of our students will do a quarter of art. They'll do chorus for a quarter. They'll have a music class, and then they do ELAB, where they're learning with computers and a lot of the STEAM work that's really growing around here right now. In sixth grade, they're also doing art, music, and E-Lab again, but we introduced drama. In seventh grade, they'll do art, music, drama, and then we introduce woodworking to them. That's been new within the last few years. So by the time they're in eighth grade, I'm really thinking about agency, as I just mentioned. Our students are able to choose from the options I just said for either a half year or a full year, depending on their choice. And then we also do have some students who will elect to do a double language instead of one of those fine arts courses. We also have physical education built into our program throughout the middle school. In this program, our students are introduced to a number of sports, but they'll also learn things like basic weight room techniques once they get in the seventh and eighth grade, and all of our health classes, health and nutrition, sex ed, things like that will happen through PE as well. Really kind of the bedrock of our middle school program, though, is our advisory program. Now, each student's advisor really is their point person. It's kind of their first line of defense. It's oftentimes the first point of contact for families. Within our advisory program, so our students will be with their advisor every day, really for anywhere from 30 minutes to about an hour, through on and off. Mondays and Fridays, we have our advisory portion focuses really on organization and executive functioning skills. It's also a time that sometimes we're able to get them out there having fun with each other. For example, we have our fifth graders and eighth graders are all paired together. And so they have a buddy system that they get out and have games together. It's just kind of a great way to bond between the grades. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, now we've actually rebranded our advisory program. We call it BASE, and BASE stands for Building Agency, Skills, and Empathy. These lessons are actually curated by our two middle school counselors. And so these lessons frequently will focus on social dynamics, what it means to be an upstander, working to understand kind of local, national, or the global community from a more empathetic perspective. And then on Wednesdays, we have the opportunity to bring everybody together for an assembly each time. And one of the real fun things about these assemblies is frequently they're led by our students. We do have a middle school council with two elected leaders in the middle school. So they kind of MC each of these assemblies. And whether we have an outside speaker, whether we have teachers or students performing, it's a great time to bring the community together within the middle school. Also in seventh grade, our students have the option of beginning to play school sports, which do happen after school. We call our middle school sports program is the Cub sports program. And it's a no-cut option. So all students who want to be able to play sports have a place to play on a team. And it really helps them learn kind of what it means to be playing for their school. Some of the more advanced players do have an opportunity to try out for upper school teams as well. Also built into our schedule, we have an activity period 3 days a week. These activity periods, full hour-long session, and our students have a wide variety of options that they can involve themselves in. Some more of a commitment than others. So some examples would be during these activities, some students will do private music lessons, or maybe they'll be part of a musical or dance ensemble. We have a middle school theater ensemble. So they work actually all year long. And then towards the end of this year and kind of in January, they really start ramping up to put together a middle school play. And this is grades 5 through 8. So last year last year they did Finding Nemo. This year they're doing Frozen. So it's something what they do is absolutely amazing. Robotics has really taken off at Collegiate over the last 7 or 8 years. You'll hear about it with the upper school, but especially in the middle school as well. So within this activity period, we do have, introductory clubs, so for beginners, but then we also do have competitive teams who are getting out in the community. We actually sent a team to Harrisonburg last year to compete in the state competition up at James Madison. We have another group that's called the Cougar Writers Zone, where older students can essentially act as writing tutors towards younger students, or really any students who might need a little extra assistance. And I think hearing from their peers and their classmates, sometimes they can explain things better than the teachers can. Other smaller clubs, we have a sports talk, we have Dungeons and Dragons, there's a walk-in talk. There's one group that goes to the lower school now and actually helps out with some lower school students. There's a knitting club. So as you can see, we have a really robust program. I could probably keep going for too long. I've probably gone too long already. But alas, I need to pass it on to Mr. Patrick Loach, and he's going to let you know a little bit more about the upper school.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dunnington. Appreciate it. Also want to offer a warm welcome to everyone for joining us today. I have the advantage, I think, that I had two really unbelievable students in Annika and James sort of give you their perspective on life in the upper school. It should be worth noting, by the way, I last saw James and Annika last night at our oddball dance. Annika was a pirate and James was a fisherman. It's our annual Halloween dance. And when I last saw them, they were screaming and jumping to the Mr. Brightside with it seemed like the entire upper school. So the students had a great time last night at the dance. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the upper school and give you some idea about, I think, when I try to encapsulate what we're trying to accomplish, I think a big part of it is helping students discover and develop their interests and talents, and hopefully in that journey we can support them as they fulfill their best potential. And I think we do that through really, first and foremost, the caring, committed group of faculty, coaches, drama directors, conductors, all the people who work with the students inside and outside the classroom, who kind of committed to that same purpose. On a practical level, what that looks like for our teachers is that our teachers in the upper school are only going to teach 4 sections. They typically only have 2 preparations. So what that means is they usually only have 2 classes they're preparing to teach, and they usually have 16 or fewer students in their sections. And so really what that allows for is for them to be available to their students outside the normal classroom time period. So if you came to Collegiate in the morning, we have an extra help, a tutorial period from 7:50 to 8:30 each morning. The same time exists on Tuesday and Friday afternoons. And you would see loads of students in the math department office, the world language office, sitting in English teachers' classrooms. They might be going over the math homework from the night before, or a student who's a freshman might be sitting down with their English teacher, looking over that essay, that first essay they wrote. Maybe they want them to look at the introduction and the thesis statements and feedback before they get started. But you would see the bulk of the upper school faculty during this period working individually or in small groups with students. I'm always proud, and I'm glad we're well past COVID, but COVID stood out to me when I think about the commitment of our teachers. We were fully synchronous during that sort of spring period when everybody was sort of at home, and our teachers were online synchronously every day with our kids. Because they wanted to lay their eyes on them and make sure they were okay. And then when we came back that next fall, when not everybody was ready to come back, and I'm always proud that 100% of the full-time teaching faculty in the upper school did come back and wanted to be back with their students in the classroom. And so that just gives you some sense of the commitment that they had. And you heard them, the students, Annika talked about Ms. Rogers, her statistics teacher, and James talked about the debate coaches and the amount of time and energy that they put into sort of supporting them in and out of the classroom. All of the folks who work with the kids are committed to this concept of building meaningful relationships with the students, particularly at such a formative time in their development, as they're getting ready to launch off into college. That our goal is to really build those relationships and try to leverage them to challenge and support the students. We too have an advisory program in the upper school. I'm excited. I'm a 9th and 10th grade advisor. So in the upper school, you spend your first 2 years with one advisor and then your next 2 years with a different advisor. So I have 10 freshmen right now in my advisory. And it was great to see them all at the dance last night. But I'm always amazed at just the development that I can see for them over 2 years. I mean, not just that they're going to get taller, but they're going to mature and become more thoughtful young adults, and you just can get really excited sort of getting ready to sort of see them launch. The other thing I think that we do really well is we serve, I think, experts and explorers in all sorts of areas, whether it's athletics, the arts, STEAM. It doesn't really matter. We're providing opportunities for both experts and explorers. So an example of that in terms for experts, last year, 21 of our graduating seniors this year they're now competing in college athletics, and we had 6 students in the class that they're going to continue their study of the arts. And so, but you could choose that path to be an expert. James is developing an expertise in speech and debate. Annika is really developing an expertise, I think, around international affairs and service. But there's a host of areas where that can happen. So, for instance, if you think that you're interested in business, you could take AP Micro or Macroeconomics. We have a class called Honors Financial Analysis. You could join our student investment club called Dar Davis, which is kind of an amazing thing where the students actually manage a real endowment with a significant amount of money that was donated many, many years ago. And the returns on the money that the students actually make, they distribute to all the student clubs and organizations on campus. So those students have to come to their classmates or on Dar Davis to apply for that money. And I'm always proud, as are the students in Dar Davis, that they've outperformed the professional fund managers at Collegiate for the last 10 years. So the students do really know what they're doing in that group. If your student maybe is going to be someone who's interested in science, they could take our honor science research class, where at the end of that, the students are presenting at the Virginia Junior Academy of Science. They could take human anatomy, and the students go up to Northern Virginia for a cadaver study at the conclusion of that class. They could take AP biology or AP chemistry. If they're interested in marine biology, they could take an elective there. And our students were just on the water with a Chesapeake Bay waterman last week. They could join our Future Medical Professionals Club, where we have parents and alums in the community come in and work with the students and teach them things like suturing, and they get to go visit hospitals and different medical facilities. But maybe you're interested in engineering. You could take one of our 3 AP physics classes or one of our 4 computer programming classes. We have an engineering and robotics class, and maybe you would then join our robotics team, Torch 5804, which has gone to the World Championships the last 3 years and took 3rd 1 year in the World Championships and 5th another year. And so, what I would say is that once students get to the upper school, they're going to have lots of opportunities to discover and develop those interests and talents, and just know that there's going to be a lot of adults here that are excited to work with them and to help them do that. So certainly look forward, if you're going to look at the upper school this year as either a prospective lower school, middle school, upper school parent. Would love to share more with you, and you're always welcome to call me or reach out if you'd like to learn more about the upper school. I'm going to pass it back to Dave.
Well, thanks to each of you for providing those perspectives and your expertise. I'm grateful, in addition to working with my admission colleagues each day, to have such wonderful experts shepherding our faculty and our students in each of the divisions. And at this point, I'll invite our leadership team to come back on as a panel. And we'll have a little bit of time to answer some of the questions from our attendees. So whether you've been engaged with Collegiate through the application process previously, or you've begun an application this year and are learning about the school, or if you've just inquired for the first time in order to join us on today's webinar, you have a terrific and tremendous amount of knowledge about the collegiate experience here. You'll see at the bottom of your screen a question mark in the Q&A box for you to be able to type in questions for our panelists. And I see that we've got a number of questions that have been coming in available just for our panelists to view. And in the interest of time, I recognize that we won't be able to get to all of your questions today. However, the admission team and I are available to you to answer questions that you may not hear and answered over the course of this webinar. But let me lead off, and perhaps Debbie, starting with the lower school experience, and then Jeff and Patrick, you can weigh in on this as well. Our Center for Responsible Citizenship, the Powell Institute, provides for each of the divisions to work towards a capstone experience. Could you describe what those capstone experiences are in each of our divisions?
Certainly, certainly. In the lower school, we are the last to join that club, if you will, that started with the upper school, moved down to the middle, and we were the last to join. But our students are so, so excited for this wonderful opportunity to have a chance to explore collegiate. It's what it's called. That's where we focus our work that week on exploring collegiate. We work ahead of time with experts in the field of, it's been in the area of sustainability. And so we've visited places in the community to learn about what those roles might be. We visited with the people on our school campus to make sure we understand what they do within that particular area, whether it be in the cafeteria or in the various offices or different departments that we have. And then the students get together with groups for their capstone week, and they absolutely love that they get mixed up, if that makes sense. They love to be with children in other classes, and they get mixed groups, and they form this invariably exciting partnership with all their little group, and they create they come up with a solution to a problem that they have found, and they work very hard on prototypes, and they go through many iterations of that, and then they have to present their findings to a team of people from Collegiate. And that's a little bit daunting if you think about it. These are like 9-10-year-olds, and they're presenting to like the people on this panel today, but they are, prepared to share what they've learned, to share what they think, to share what they would like to see Collegiate possibly do, and also then to answer any questions, which every year I feel like they are more prepared and more they're just very eloquent when they're speaking. I'm just very proud of the children when they do that. But it's a wonderful opportunity, a first good step for them to do as they move to the middle school. Thank you.
Yeah, and so in the middle school, it's a lot of the same themes that they're doing within the lower school. But if the lower school is looking at collegiate, with the 8th grade, our program's called Envision Richmond, which is it's an opportunity to understand the larger Richmond community through a different lens than maybe they're used to. So this program actually in the 8th grade, we open it up with a day of team building, where they actually spend half of the day doing a rafting trip on the James River, where they go right through the city. They're going right down there by Hollywood Cemetery, down there by Browns Island. They're really able to see the city from a different vantage point. The other half of the day is spent doing team building exercises at our ropes course that we have on campus. The purpose of Envision Richmond really is to get our students out into the city where they can meet with local experts to learn more about the obstacles that are facing the region. Students have worked on topics over the years such as tourism, affordable housing, clean water, historical preservation. They've worked with military veterans, look at green spaces, a number of things. So within the process, like in the lower school, that with their groups, they'll use the design thinking process to create some sort of proposal for whatever their focus is. And then the program actually culminates on the final day like in the lower school, they get all dressed up. It's real fun, kind of real life experience that they're not used to, but they'll give their proposals back to these same community experts who they've been meeting with earlier in the week, and the sorts of things that they come up with never cease to amaze us. So that's what we do in the middle school.
And in the upper school, it is titled Envision Your World. And so sort of we're looking beyond just the collegiate community and our own community. We have 8 or 9 different capstone electives that our students can choose from their semester courses that they take in their senior year. I'll just share two examples from courses this fall. This is our 14th year hosting what we call the International Emerging Leaders Conference, where our students are going to go ahead and run a week-long conference for this year. It's 32 students from around the world, our 8 different partner schools. In fact, we'll host the opening dinner this evening, and those students will be on campus for the week. And it's always remarkable by the end of the week to sort of see how quickly the students have bonded and connected, because they put them on teams that represent really all of the participating countries. Another program that capstone that we have is called TEDx. So our students curate and then produce and host a TED program. So if you've ever seen a TED Talk type of program, we host it here in our theater. And so we're a licensed TED site. And so our students are in charge of actually running that program, and they bring speakers from around the community and sometimes outside of Richmond. And they're our students pick the theme and then curate the speakers for that conference. So those are just 2 examples.
And great examples all around. I appreciate you all taking that question. I'm seeing a lot of questions around diversity at Collegiate. Perhaps Tung, you could lead off on how we address inclusion and belonging in our community.
Lost my mouse for a second. Yeah, would love to. I think at the heart of it, the word that you'll hear often is the word community. I think for all of our students, our faculty, our families, the thing that we all want is to feel like the school is really ours. It's a place that you feel comfortable, a place where you really can feel like you can find your own voice and perhaps learn the voices of others. And so the key word in my mind is that word belonging. I think for me as a parent and for all of you as parents, um, whether you had a really positive, meaningful school experience or perhaps you didn't, it really comes down to the fact that did your experience include people who made you feel valued? Did you have people invite you to a game at recess? Did you have someone eat with you at lunch? Did you have someone to study a chemistry quiz with? Did you have people to practice with after school, for cross country or for swimming? Did you have someone to share a studio with in ceramics? So what it really comes down to is trying to do everything we can with every measure that we can take to provide a community where everyone is known. And so whether it is through our programming, our classes, or just through our assemblies and the speakers that we bring, our advisory curriculum, everywhere that we really can use as a chance for everyone to feel part of the community we take. And sometimes you think about books. Librarians often like to talk about having books that are both windows and mirrors into other people's lives. Windows being ones that you can really see through and learn stories that are unique and perhaps different than your own. And that's in contrast to having mirrors, where perhaps you're reading books where you can see yourself in the protagonist in the stories. And so that idea of having windows and mirrors throughout our curriculum is something that drives a lot of how we choose on what we teach. But I would say another big component of that is also just faculty representation. I'd say that the thing that we really strive for is for students to be able to look at our faculty and say that they see someone in the faculty that are like them. And that doesn't necessarily just mean kind of their physical appearance, but also their interest. I think James and Annika would both be able to say that there's faculty who really drove something inside of them that helped them find the things that they care about that they're probably going to go on and study in college. And a lot of that is obviously sharing that space with other students and peers that share the same things that they want to learn about. But I would be hard pressed to think there wasn't a faculty member there making it happen. And so our world is constantly changing, and we've got an upcoming election in about a month that will kind of lead us to the next phase of what our climate will be. And I'm hoping it's one where empathy and having strong kind of high emotional EQ will have really just as much of a say in how successful our children are, other than just the hard skills they'll learn as well at Collegiate. And so one of my favorite quotes I'll end with is our founder of our school, Helen Baker, said that she just really wanted all of our students to be good citizens in the widest sense. And a message I think is 109 years old still rings true. But I think the citizens we produce really stem from everyone feeling like this is a place where they all belong.
Well said, Tung. I really appreciate you sharing that. We also have a few questions around safety and security at Collegiate, and I guess I'd offer that whether you're among the 54 pastoral acres here on the Northmoreland Road campus or out at our Goochland campus at the Robbins campus, there is certainly a sense of open space and freedom about the campus. However, we ensure that the campus is and the buildings are locked each day, and that we employ a full-time director of safety and security, and his team who are here to do more than just direct carpool, which is an important part of safety and security at Collegiate, but not the epitome of the experience, to help each of the people on this webinar and all of our faculty and staff to feel that we have a plan for student agency and safety at our school. I don't know if by division we'd want to weigh in on ways in which our students feel safe in their classes and at school each day.
Sure, I'll start. Our lower schoolers have had a chance to meet. They always have a chance to meet our Director of Security, Safety and Security, and they see him as a community helper. They love to talk with him. Our current director, he's new this year. He's very tall, and it is quite sweet to see him standing way up here talking to JKers who are way, way down here. But they're just having the biggest conversations, and he's always interested in what they have to say. But he has helped us all with, as Dave shared, our buildings are always locked. We have a time period to get in the morning and when they're leaving in the afternoon, but they're always locked. And so he'll help the children if they need help with that or understanding why we have to lock it. They have all kinds of questions, but our families are very much appreciative of the supports that we have in place for the little people in the lower school. Excuse me. And I think you would feel that way if you were on campus, you'd be able to see that as well. Excuse me. I apologize.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, and I'll just add, we go through our series of drills, and our students are prepared kind of for all of the various things, anywhere from a shelter in place, we did have several years back, we had a tornado scare at one point, and our students, because of the calm guidance, leadership of our teachers who definitely knew what to do. Sure, we were here for a few extra hours that afternoon. Maybe wasn't the most comfortable spot, but our students, everybody felt safe, everybody felt secure because of the kind of the calm demeanor. I think that the adults were exercising that really helped the students be put at ease, which in turn helps put families at ease as well.
I'll talk about it from a slightly different angle. And one of the things that's unique about the upper school is we have an honor code that our students follow, that a collegiate student does not lie, cheat, or steal. And so that actually produces an incredible environment of trust, which I think does lead to a great sense of security. So one example of that is the upper school is phone free during the academic day. And so when students arrive on campus, they actually store their phones in lockers in the upper school building. And in each locker stores 20 phones, and there's 30 different lockers. Those lockers, none of our lockers are locked. And when students go to assembly, they just drop their backpacks, and there's not really any concern at all for them about their backpack or their computer, if it's on the charging station, being there when they come back. And so that sense of security also exists in the classroom, and that teachers just trust students. So like nobody asks to go to the bathroom or gets a pass or anything like that. Like they leave the classroom, and there's an expectation that they're being honest about where they're going, and they're going to come back after they're finished doing whatever they need to do. So that's just a slightly different perspective.
Thank you for that, Patrick. I think, certainly that sense of trust that we get from having a strong honor system in place, whether it's how we've employed the responsive classroom techniques in lower school, or gone phone free in the middle and upper school, gives us a wonderful environment of trust and safety. And beyond the biometric scans that we have for finger access into the doors in the building. So I appreciate you all weighing in on those questions. We're a little short on time and sensitive to that. I know that folks have had a number of questions about the admission process, and in my wrap up, I'll try and encompass as much of that as I can. But while we still have the panel here before we close, we've had a number of questions about our world languages program. Would you all feel comfortable, and maybe Patrick, will start with you to discuss a little bit how we address world languages in each division?
Yeah, so in the upper school has 4 languages that are offered: Spanish, French, Chinese, and Latin. For students entering in the 9th grade, If they've never had a language before, typically the entry-level languages that are going to be offered are French and Spanish. But if a student has come to us from a school that had a Chinese language program or had Latin instruction, they can continue that instruction in the upper school. Each of those languages students can go in their fourth and final year to the advanced placement level, where they have the opportunity to earn college credit for language. But even the students in the upper school who don't take an AP language, they just take the 4 years on our regular track. Those students almost always will place out of the language requirement when they get to college because of the strength of the program they've had at Collegiate. I know that was the case for my son when he went to college. He took the placement test and was exempted from the requirements. So it's a very strong and robust program, combined with a lot of international travel opportunities as well over those 4 years.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm glad you mentioned the international travel. We actually offer international travel opportunities for our 8th graders as well, for those students who are taking French or taking Spanish. Currently, we do have an exchange with a school in Bordeaux, France, and our students also have the opportunity to go to Paris as part of that trip. But yeah, it's an immersive experience where they are going to school with the French counterparts, who actually will come with us, come to Collegiate for a week as well, which is great. We also have Mr. Loach was talking about partnerships with schools all over the world. Yeah, within the middle school, there's a school from Mexico City that actually sends a group to our middle school every year, and so they're with our students for usually about a week. They even will perform full assembly for our students, which is always one of the favorites each year. But within the middle school, French, Spanish, and Chinese are the 3 core languages as well. So students coming in new, it typically, as Patrick said, within the upper school, if they have 0 experience with the language at all, then most will end up in Spanish. But that doesn't mean that French or Chinese isn't necessarily a possibility. And then Latin is offered starting in 7th grade for all of our students, and some will choose to continue with that path in 8th grade, and many will continue to go double language as well.
Thank you, Jeff.
And in the lower school, we start with our JKers. Yes, we do. They start JK first grade. JKK and first graders have what we call an exploratory program. They have a trimester each year of French, Chinese, and Spanish. And that gives them an opportunity to learn some language, some of the sounds, how to get their brain ready to receive new languages. Also, they enjoy dearly the opportunities for cultural experiences and singing songs and playing games and those things. And so for those 3 years, we have that exploratory, and it builds each year. And then at the end, currently at the end of first grade, our families and our students will choose what we call a target language. And that means they would go to either Spanish, Chinese, or French for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. And currently this year, we have every other day in that target language. So they have a lot of opportunities for growth over the time that they have started, especially in 2nd grade through 4th grade in their language in the lower school.
Great. Thank you, Debbie. Oh, and thank you all for participating in this panel discussion. I think the insights that you're able to offer, the breadth of our curriculum and experience for our students is really remarkable, and a lot of the success that we enjoy every day at Collegiate comes from your hard work. So I'm grateful to each of you as my colleagues being on today's webinar. I am going to try and wrap this up as we're right about at time, but I want to again thank our panelists, Annika and James as well, for being on the webinar today, and then share something with all of you who are attending today's webinar, learning about Collegiate. And if you'll humor me just a moment, I'll share my screen. That there are a number of questions that we've had today about the admission process at Collegiate. And if you've liked what you've heard from my colleagues and from our amazing class of 2025 seniors, we really do, and as you heard from Mr. Mankabelli at the outset, we welcome you to come feel the collegiate experience and come to our campus for one of our programs or our individual visit days at the appropriate level. We have a full slate of programs that begin this week with our first junior kindergarten and kindergarten program. And there are 3 of those over the course of this fall, as well as a 1st through 4th grade program in November. Coming up later this month, our grades 9 through 12 program takes place to learn about the upper school at Collegiate. And in November on the 15th, we have a 5th through 8th grade middle school program as well. So we encourage you, if you've just inquired, to contact the admission office or to begin your application so that you could register for each of those programs. If you have applied, you can register for each of these programs by just clicking into your parent portal and following through. I recognize also there are a number of questions about the application process itself. You're applying to one collegiate school, regardless of whether you're applying in JK or you're applying for 9th grade. Our key entry points tend to be in junior kindergarten and kindergarten, our earliest entry point. We have a natural growth period where we go from 4 to 6 sections in JK to K. And then we have 6 sections throughout lower school. And in middle school, we have a natural entry point in 5th and 6th grade, where we move to as many as 8 sections before 8th grade. And the upper school has classes that the 9th grade this year is just a little more than 140 students. We graduated 142 seniors in the class of 2024 last year, if that gives you a sense of our average grade size in the upper school. But overall, we want you to know that we have a program that will strive to answer your questions and really get to know your family and your child in the admission process. With that, I'd also share that we have a very robust financial assistance program. This past year, we offered over $5.5 million to ensure that students who are qualified to participate in a collegiate education are able to attend regardless of their family's resources. The process itself is relative to the admission process, and that it runs concurrently with the admission season. And you can check the box to receive more information. We begin processing through the platform called Clarity in mid-October, and we ask that families apply by January 1st for first consideration with financial assistance in that process as well. I recognize also that it's a lot of information in a little bit of time. Our admission team will endeavor to reach out to you individually to answer questions that you might have had from today's webinar, and we will be providing this recording to everyone who's registered. So we're grateful for the interest in Collegiate, and we look forward to seeing you soon on campus. As my colleagues and I have remarked, it's really a wonderful place, and we look forward to seeing you here. Thank you very much for your time, and go Cougars.